Hey guys, it's Greg with the Shooter's Mindset. Jennifer's still out recovering from her injuries, so maybe next week she'll be back to supervise after me and Corey misbehaved badly this week. Um, Today, our guest of the hour, we have two pretty cool dudes that just got back from like some sort of an adventure of a lifetime. We got Ken Wheeler and Matt Partain. So before pretty much everybody watching knows who you guys are. But before we get too deep into it, we always got new viewers. So let's take a chance kind of talking about who you are, what you do with shooting, how you got into shooting, stuff like that. Ken, we'll let you go first.
Yeah, so I'm Ken Wheeler, current owner and director of the PRS. My wife Missy and I purchased the PRS last year in January from Shannon and Julie Kay. So yeah, I've been into PRS since 2016, and yeah, like this is everything for me. That's my entire life. It's all day, every day. It's what we do. So yeah, I guess in a nutshell, that's me.
Is that a matchbook above you, above your right shoulder?
Right there.
Yeah,
That is the very first barrel maker in 2019.
there you go.
Yeah, shout out to my
Wisconsin,
buddy Garrett G. So that was my first 2-day matchbook. He attended. He gave me that matchbook when we got the office here, and then that is my first 1-day match book. So
cool.
Yeah, pretty cool. He framed for me, and they're perfect for the office wall, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have that same matchbook.
You do have that one, yeah? You were there.
Oh yeah, I was there. Very memorable. I'm Matt Partain. I'm just a novice shooter who just likes to hang out and have a good time with all my friends. I've been shooting since like 2016 also. And this is just strictly a hobby for me, man, just to get to hang out with great people. So that's what I do.
Yeah.
But
I think you're also an amateur cow wrangler as well.
Don't talk about her like that, okay?
Okay, so I think I need to explain that. We had some cows get loose on the range, and Matt Partain decided to drive down in the ATV, herd them away for us. So I jumped in a truck too, followed him around, like, hey, what are you doing? I don't know. Just drive them. They seem to be going.
Yeah, they were sure out there, and I just happened to be in it, so I figured it's the right thing to do.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So tell us about this big bros getaway you guys had. You went to the Viking Trail. What is the match? What are the details on that?
Yeah, I guess I can start with some of the European Pro Series stuff. So the Precision Rifle Series last year hired Runar Johnson. He is the International Precision Rifle Series director. He's out of Norway. He's been hosting the Viking Trail for a bunch of years. Heck of a guy. He's actually shot. I think he shot in Texas a couple times now.
Yeah, great dude. Very short for a Viking. Very short.
Yeah. He is phenomenal person, and he's been awesome to work with, and he kept telling me about the match that he's prepping, putting on, and I'd actually talked with a gentleman out of Iowa named Ted Hager, and he was interested in doing a couple different matches in Europe. And I said, well, I think the Viking Trail has to be one of them. It's perfect time of the year in May, and it's hosted by Runar and his friend Sindra. So we actually I'm not going to take any credit. Ted Hager planned the whole thing. He was really into it and wanted to make a vacation and stuff out of it. I said, man, you just figure out the details and let me know what to do. So and then I don't know, Matt called me No, we talk every so often, but yeah, earlier this winter, and he's like, "Hey, what matches you shooting this year?" And I mentioned Norway. He's like, "Yeah, let's do this." So then, yeah,
Yeah, and like
yeah, just
30 minutes later, I had a plane ticket to Norway.
yeah, yep. That's exactly how that went down. It was pretty awesome. We tried to schedule at least a match or two to we shoot with each other every year, and
Yep.
it's like, yeah, this one will be epic. Let's do it. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Man,
pretty much exactly how that happened. That was the conversation. What matches are you shooting? And he spouted off Norway. I've never been to Norway, and literally 30 minutes later, I'm calling him back saying I'm going. And
Heck
then
yeah.
30 minutes before we got ready to get on a plane, I think I got all my stuff together.
I'm gonna file that away for
The whole way,
later.
though.
If I
Yeah.
ever need someone to go with me somewhere, I'm calling you, buddy.
Hey, I'm good. I'm good for asking for stuff because I probably forgot it.
So for
Yeah,
people that haven't shot the match, what makes it unique? Because it's very different than any other match.
yep. So it's basically across the southern half of Norway.
Okay.
Matt and I both flew into Oslo, which is it's towards the eastern side of Norway, and then we spent like 2 days driving with plenty of stops and stuff along the way, but we spent a couple days driving to get basically to the western side of Norway, and then that was where the sight-in day was. But actually, the sight-in day was at a range that went out to. I'm gonna forgive me, everybody, for talking in meters in this too, because that's all we talked. So I have no idea how many yards it was, but 450 meters was the furthest we could shoot at sight-in day, and it was not the location at which day one was at. So we went to sight-in day, hung out there for a few hours, made sure our rifle shot well. Matt and I were actually shooting. Matt and I and Ted Hager that went with us too. We're all shooting 6 Creeds. We wanted to buy ammo over there and just shoot factory ammo, box ammo. So Matt and I stopped actually at the Norma of Norway factory office warehouse. I don't know what you call it.
Yeah.
They're just distribution center.
Yeah, we picked up 1,700 rounds and an invoice and just left. And actually, at the end of the match, we took the invoice back. Yeah, so Runar works for a badass gun store in Norway.
Yeah. Jack and Freilich, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
But it's not just an outdoor store, a gun store. Like they like Runar and Sindler.
Fishing stuff. They had everything. It was just like a mini Cabela's, but it didn't have all the extra crap that a lot of that they sell at those big box stores like that. This place here was more oriented. It was more specific.
Mm-hmm. And then if you wanted any gun work done, I mean, they had like the whole upstairs shop area. Like it's not like the Cabela's or whatever gun store guys, the old guys behind the counter that can barely mount an optic. Like if you want your muzzle threaded, if you want a new barrel put on, you want your stock modified for whatever, like they have all the machine tools there, and all these guys do it like soup to nuts. Like Sindra and Runar, both are gunsmiths there, and it's kind of in that regards, it's more like a GA Precision or something like that.
Okay.
So
yeah.
So anyways, we sort of bought all of our ammo through Norma, through the gun store that they work through, but we picked it all up at the factory and right outside Oslo, or the warehouse just outside Oslo, and then started driving west. So yeah, the I guess starting with day one of the match, like unbelievable drive from where we spent the night in a hotel room. Like it just
Tell them about the hotel room.
Which one? The very first night?
Very first night.
What happened in the hotel room, guys?
Yeah.
Matt can explain it.
Yeah, so me and Ken, in good fashion, Ken's a lot like me. We didn't have a hotel room the first night. So we're driving around this town, and apparently there's streets that look just like a street, but they're dedicated for walking. Not me and Ken Wheeler. We drove right down, and there's people they're eating right beside us in these restaurants, and they're just looking at us go by, and we're just waiting. So anyway, we get in this hotel, we find this place is open, and we get a room, and it's about the size of a big truck cab. And the beds are literally 3 feet apart, and the beds are about 3 feet wide. So you got about 9 foot wide worth of room, and that's it. That is it. And me and Wheeler had been traveling for 24 hours, and let me tell you, housekeeping earned their keep that night.
Yeah, there was about that far between the beds, and the beds were up against the walls on both sides.
Oh, that's plenty far enough. Nothing's gonna happen there.
There was room for one more Greg Bell right dead in the center.
Not touching that one. All right, so backing up, did you guys take your own guns or did you borrow guns there?
Yep, we took our own. So
okay.
I guess I wrote down a couple notes because I figured that a lot. Well, in fact, I've received this question, like, how do we do this? And it's really pretty simple. One, register for the match. Then you get an invite from Runar or the match committee, etc. And then you just fill out, like, you go to the Norwegian police website, download a form, fill it out. Basically, it has some information about yourself on there. You need to be able to prove that you can legally own a firearm in the United States. So I'm friends with our one of our sheriff's deputies, so I sent him the exact language that I needed in this. He did a quick background check, had the sheriff sign a letter. So I provided that letter, the invite from Runar, and I filled out this form, sent it to their police, and like 8 hours later, I got a response back with, hey, here's your permit to bring your firearm into country. Have a great match. Good luck. We hope you enjoy it here. Like, way more pleasantries than we deserve.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah. That was my response.
8 hours.
Oh, it was fast. Yeah.
Wow.
It was super fast.
I got the same exact thing as Ken did. It took about 1 day, and I'm not even sure you can even say it was 8 hours because they're like 7 hours in front of us or behind us or whatever it was. So when we sent it, when they got up that next day and their business opened, we got it back right then. And I got the same response that they did. Yeah. I mean, as Ken did it, I'm assuming everybody else that, like, they were glad we were coming over there,
Yeah. Very, very, very pleasant, very warm. So that's all of the paperwork that we needed to get in country. And in fact, I'm not sure I shared that. I had to show that letter to anybody except maybe the airline in Chicago. Like, hey,
of course.
And they're like, let's see your paperwork. And I'm like, well, here's a invite letter to the match. Here's Norwegian police saying I can come, But yeah, I mean, so I flew from Chicago to Reykjavik, Iceland, and then Reykjavik to Oslo, Norway. And that was part of it too. And we had to reach out to Runar to figure this out. But Iceland Air, really cool. Iceland is a really friendly gun country. And Norway is as well. So that makes a perfect stopover. Matt, you flew through Germany, right?
That's right. I went to Houston to Frankfurt, Germany, and from Germany to Oslo. And I didn't have any trouble either. I did get paged one time when I was in Houston, And let me tell you, you've never had the hair stand up on your back of your neck when you get paged in the middle of the Houston airport. You're like, they found it. They have found it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't anything. They just wanted to. I guess they were guessing that it was a firearm, and they just wanted to confirm it with me. And that was literally the only question that I got asked the entire trip. Everything else was pretty simple.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'll say this: I when I landed in Iceland, I had to go through passport control there, and which didn't mean that I needed to go pick up my luggage and get the rifle and get everything in hand and then go through passport control.
Right.
It literally was walk up to the customs person. She asked how long I'm going to be there. I said I'm here 1 week. She asked what I was doing. I said I'm here for a rifle match. And she's like, "Oh, interesting." And stamp, have a good match. She was pleasant too. Like, good luck.
Nice.
Like, man, this is like another planet. And then when Partain and I landed in Oslo, like we went and got our luggage, and then we had to walk to a different area where oversized stuff was, but that's where our rifles were, and we literally walked out to the rental car. Like, nobody said anything. Nobody stopped us. Like, it was way easier than it should have been.
That's awesome. It's good to hear, at least.
Yeah.
So after your very restful sleep, day one, how'd you guys shoot?
Wait, hang on. Between that, I gotta say that. So we woke up after our night one for breakfast, and they got this. I'm not saying anything bad about any other countries or anything like that, because the way that they do stuff is different than the way we do stuff. But they had, we in America, we're traditional, like eggs, bacon, stuff like that.
Yeah,
for breakfast.
Toast.
In Norway, there's I think it was raw fish and some type of liquid, and I just could not bring myself to be one of the locals at this time. It's just sitting there right beside the toast,
I'll say this: every hotel we stayed in had really good breakfast. Like, they took pride in it. I mean, one of the mornings, we got a to-go container, and this is a nice breakfast. I think it was for day 3. And hey, here's your breakfast. It's in a styrofoam or cardboard container or whatever, and it's heavy. I'm like, oh yeah, this is gonna be good, but it's cold. Whatever. I take it over in the lobby and sit down and open it up, and half of it is like, I would call like a succotash, like a vegetable, like green beans, or there was asparagus in there that was cold, which is not what I would typically have for breakfast. Corn, some other veggies. And then the other half was shrimp, crawdads. Yeah.
Perfect.
All right.
I looked at this and I'm like, man, you warm this up and have it for dinner? Delicious. Right now at 6:30 in the morning, like, I'm gonna have to choke some of this down because I'm hungry.
Meanwhile, I'm assuming Partain was going to town on those crawfish.
I ate the whole thing. It was delicious. Best breakfast I've ever had.
It was good. And then later that morning, Clay and Austin had stayed at the same. Clay Blackhead and Austin Regain had stayed at the same hotel. And Clay comes up to me mid to late morning. We were squatted together for day 3, and he's like, "There is a psychopath up there in the woods that's pee smells like asparagus, and it is 9:00 in the morning." Like, yeah, that's all of us, Clay. We all had the asparagus for breakfast. Yeah. All right.
I might just have to try that.
Cold asparagus first thing in the morning. Yeah.
Oh. I could do the shrimp. I could definitely do shrimp first thing in the morning, but shrimp's probably my favorite food.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, So most of the breakfasts were awesome. Like there was a spread on day two, morning of day two, I think it was. It was the best hotel breakfast I've ever seen. I mean, it was like, what you typically get out of like I'll say a Holiday Inn Select or Hilton or something like that. Like multiply that by 3 or 4 times, and then make everything fresh, like fresh bread, fresh cut cheeses, tons of different proteins and meats, and a lady like cooking eggs and pancakes and everything for you. It was awesome. Yeah, and most of it was that way, but almost every one of them had some sort of fish that was cold in some sort of fluid. Never
It
tried
makes sense.
it.
It makes sense. I mean,
Yes.
more close to an island. They got a little bit of hook still attached there.
Yeah, well,
And but it was also there. I don't know. Ken opened up all the lids at these little hot plates that they had, but I did, and they had everything from baked beans and
yeah.
for breakfast. And I'm like, okay. And then I think like, I wonder if they just leave this out all day. That way they ain't got to stop and clean up or nothing. Just here it is. You can have anything from baked beans to fish in liquid.
Yeah.
The in liquid part is how both of you guys say that. Like it's fish.
You don't know
In
what it
liquid.
is, dude. I'm telling you. I don't know if it was water or vinegar. I don't know what it is.
It looked like there was capers or something on it too. I mean, blacks. I don't know. Yeah, we didn't have the balls to try it.
That's the truth. Just
Yeah.
take your word for it.
Yeah.
So outside of the food that was apparently not our normal pancakes and bacon,
Yeah.
was
Yeah,
the
they were.
match kind of a similar style?
It's pretty clear that Runar and Thorin, Runar's wife,
Mhm.
and Sindra, who all put this match on, like they've had practice in the United States shooting Pro Series matches and took the best aspects of our matches, are the ones in the United States. I won't call them ours, but yeah, they are. The match was top notch.
Awesome.
Yeah, there was very few things that I said I would change, but each day there was they called it, so the name of the match is the Viking Trail, and each day they had a trail stage, which usually meant it's a longer time and 15 to 18 shots in a stage.
Like it. Let's go.
It was cool. It was cool. I wouldn't do more than one a day, and it screwed up match flow and all that. But so Syndra RO'd that stage himself, and he had to run it to make sure that everything is moving along and happening in a timely fashion, and everybody's safe. And he was doing all spotting. So it takes a super RO to be able to do that. But so like day one was shooting across a mountain that nothing like I'd ever seen before. It was wild. Like we came up, we drove, I don't know, through forests and across rivers and saw like amazing sights. Way out in backcountry Norway, or at least I'm assuming backcountry. We're an hour or two from civilization, I guess. There was like cabins and stuff on islands, and along water, and it was beautiful. And then we get up towards the top, or at least what I thought was the highest we would be going. And it's a narrow Norwegian road, goes both ways, no center line or anything like that. We all kind of pull off on the side of the road, and the stages are all along the roadway there across maybe a mile or so. And where we parked, everything that's like stage 9, and we walked downhill to stage 1, and it was a few hundred feet of elevation difference, probably 300-400 feet, I'm guessing. And it just goes down into this huge bowl. You're shooting east. the predominant wind coming across the country is coming from the east, and there's a big mountain peak in front of us. So somehow the wind, it just didn't blow straight over top. It kind of came mostly north to south, but not always.
Yeah.
So there was, and I might be misspeaking here, but I think there was 118 possible points for day one. I think somewhere around maybe 110, 118. And I know I'm going to misspeak, but Austin Orgain and Josh Martin were tied after day one with, I think, 59 impacts. So
skull dragging.
Yeah, I think Austin shot less than 50%. And he was squatted with Clay, also a very good shooter, especially in big wind like that. I mean, it was Partain. I think. What did your Kestrel tell you that time we took it?
Oh, it was like just at that time when we were just happened to be shooting the one with the 47 shots. It was like sustained 35.
Yeah,
Oh, it was just, you don't know. I mean, how do you make a bracket for that? You know, and you just get up there, and then my first shot, I hit it, and I'm like, shit, I got this. That was like the only one I hit.
Yeah,
still salty.
Yeah. So we saw a lot of that where, you know, guys would have a first round impact in center of target, and then, you know, even if it's the same target you're engaging, like the next shot would be off plate, you know, and then the next shot would be off the other way. Like, you know, they made a correction and they're off again, and they're off again, and they're off again, you know, but you'd see a first round impact and you're like, oh, he's got to figure it out. And like, oh, shooter, I have you for a 1, you know?
Yeah. Out of a possible 16.
Yeah. So we started on stage 8 that day, and we had 8, 9, and then we had to walk all the way down the hill to 1. It was a long walk, and we're passing a lot of shooters. And I'll say this: I mean, shooters in the U.S. are pleasant, but these guys seemed like overjoyed. Like everywhere we went, like, hey, how you doing today? You know, and you know, as we're walking on the hill, and it's probably Partain being a celebrity, right? And all purple and yellow, like everybody is like excited to see us and super pleasant. And so I think Partain, you had like 15 impacts. You had like 14 impacts, the 7 and the 7, your first 2 stages.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and I think I had a 7 and a 4, so I had 11. And it full well knowing that the winner of day 1 last year, similar course of fire, exact same location, had like 39 impacts
total for the day.
Yeah. So Partain's at like 14. I'm at 11. I'm like,
I'm gonna win this thing.
But so we're walking down the hill, and like, you know, of course everybody's like, hey, how's it going? I'm like, I think we're doing okay based on like last year's performance. And I'm like, how are you guys doing? Like, we got a 1 on the first stage and a 2 on the second one. And this is almost everybody we've talked to. Like, oh my gosh. Like three impacts. Okay. But I guess we're doing okay, Matt, you know? And we're shooting factory ammo that honestly didn't shoot all that well. But I mean, at 100 meters it didn't shoot well, but it seemed to have no problem on plate, that's for sure.
That's right.
But, so yeah, so then we walk all the way down to stage 1, and that's where that was the trail stage for the day. Where you ran around and you had 2 different targets that were 90 degrees apart, 70 degrees apart, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Matt, I've talked the whole time. You want to talk about a couple stages?
Yeah, so he's right. Yeah. So we got down there, and it's thank God they had the placards beside them, and they were just hard to find in general. You definitely had to have some type of landmarks, because it's like in a bowl, you know, and on one side of it you have the little hill that goes up where the road's at, and on the other side it's just rocks, and all the targets are either on the side of the mountain or in that bowl. They're one of the two, you know. And as you can imagine, just like we've shot in these situations before. When you put a grayed out target in the middle of rocks, it's hard to find. So having landmarks was a big deal. And like I said, thank God they had placards beside them.
Yeah.
But
Sunshine usually helps over the course of the day too, right?
yeah,
Changing the shadows.
that's right.
They look different all day.
All day long. And like he was saying, you know, it was just a lot of movement of back and forth. And I think on that particular stage, I think I did a 5. And let me tell you, I was happy to have that 5. I think Clay and Austin were leading they were leading the match with like 8 or 9 impacts on that one 16-round stage, you know. And so I was extremely happy with my little 5, you know. But it was definitely challenging for sure, because those winds, man, they were unreal. Like I said, sustained 35 and gusting to 45. It was crazy.
One of those days where you get back to the hotel and you're wondering why it's so quiet. And you're like, oh, the wind stopped indoors.
Well, the funny thing about it is after that day 1, we had to drive like 4 hours to get to day 2. Or Ken did. Ken did anyway.
Yeah. Man, I got a couple naps in.
The co-pilot fell asleep.
Hey, it was rough. You know that 1.5-mile walk that he was talking about going downhill? Well, my big ass had to go back up that hill too. I had to exert lots of energy to get back up there.
Yeah.
Well, it's carrying around all that talent of getting the 5s and 7s, right?
I had a little tether hooked to Ken's backpack, and it was on my wrist. I just pulled me along all day.
Yeah. No, you went all the way down to the end. That the stage 1 was probably the worst. No, I guess we saw some bad wind, like stage 5, 6, whatever, and we finished on 7. But it was just brutal. Like I saw a lot of really good shooters that would make a really good first wind call. They're obviously dialed in. They have everything figured out, and then just back and forth, and like somewhere between 20 and 30 mile an hour. You gotta, and the targets were generous size too. They 6 to 8 tenths or more. Like there was nothing small, so on paper it didn't look bad. And I'll say this, working in the metric system, which we do with milliradians anyway, right? When the targets are in the matchbook as like a 50 by 50 centimeter, right? Or I'll even at 25 by 25 centimeters at 500 meters. So 25 goes into 50 twice. That's a 1/2 mil target. Like it's when you're working in milliradians and you have centimeters and meters, like you can easily look at the matchbook and you know exactly how big that thing is in milliradians. Like I'm not going to tell everybody that they should do this.
That's not inches. I'm just
it's not inches.
No,
and it is incredibly easy.
I don't trust it. Let's just move on to day 2. So you drove 4 hours, and that's American hours. How many miles is that? Not kilometers.
Exactly.
Tell us about your adventure day 2. Let's get off the communist talk.
Right. So, like Partain said, we really long day. I mean, we got out. We were 6:30, I think, 7 o'clock. We got to the range way up in the mountains, so we had to get up pretty early to get there. And then we didn't finish shooting until 4:30, 5 o'clock, probably. And there were some people even later than us, and it was a 4-hour drive. Now, the max speed limit we saw was like 100 kilometers an hour, but most of it was like 80 kilometers an hour, which is 50. So we didn't have that far to go, but at 50 miles an hour and then slow down through every little town and everything, it was 4 hours to get there. And there was an amazing hotel way up on this bluff that overlooked like 2 different villages and a river that went through both of them out into this fjord. Like it was amazing. This is the place with the amazing breakfast too. And I don't think it was that much money. I want to say like, it might have been $10 a night or something like that. And I mean, Partain had a baller room, like a
I did.
overlooked
wedding
everything with a
suite?
balcony.
Yeah, I had a balcony. It had like 2 rooms, like a living room and everything. Sucked. I only got to stay there one night.
Yeah, it was too bad we only got to spend there one night. But yeah, like a really beautiful area. So yeah, but I mean, by the time we got there, it was like 10 o'clock at night. I think we had a couple beers with a couple other shooters that were staying there. And it was like 11:30. And it was like, hey, man, we got to get to bed because we got to be at the next range, which is a half-hour drive at like 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, you know? So we went there. This next place was privately owned. The first place actually was privately owned too. But the whole mountain was. This one was more, somebody's back 40, I would call it. Wouldn't you say, Matt? How would you describe the property?
Yeah, it was that. Yeah, we call it a back 40, but man, it was unbelievably beautiful. Like it was up in the mountains. He had a lake out there in the middle of it, and man, it was beautiful. And it was a totally different setting from day one, which is cool. This was set more in the woods, and he had like little areas cleared out where targets would be.
So
And we
lane set and
shot
everything.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there wasn't a whole lot of like lanes. Like these mountains were so steep that you didn't need a lane. You just needed a hole on the side.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a hole cleared out where the target was at. And as you came back around, one side we kind of shot in the middle, and one side of the range you shot uphill, and then as you worked your way around the range, you actually shot downhill, like the exact opposite of the way we started. So I mean, the whole thing was really neat how it was set up. There again, there's this hill that they had to get up there. If I forgot it, I wasn't going back down. I just didn't have it for the day because I wasn't going up that hill again.
So where you parked versus where you shot, yeah, I mean, it was pretty brutal. It was probably, I'll say this. So we walked up, and then I had a camera with me. I was going to take some more pictures. So I walked up a little bit more of a hill towards like stage 3 or 4 is what it was. When I got to the top there to take some pictures of Runar doing a match brief, my watch told me I had already climbed my 10 flights of stairs for the day. It's like,
okay,
good, got that guy taken care of. Guess I'm not doing that again. Yeah. So I thought that this location and the course of fire for day 2 was a lot like what the Barrel Maker used to be. And that's what it felt like to me. Like the way things are kind of cleared out, and kind of a straightforward but kind of fast-paced course of fire. That's what it felt like to me. How about you, Matt?
Yeah, I agree. It wasn't near as spread out as day 1 was. But it was and kind of like what Ken's saying with as the Barrel Maker, it was kind of set. It was kind of woody versus day 1 for sure, which was all mountains and wide open. Where this was not wide open, it was it was just totally different. Which there again, I think's pretty dang neat to be able to have two different places to shoot in the same match.
Yeah. Do you think it made it more comprehensive because you get to places like Cameo or the Whittington Center, and they're vastly different than like the K&Ms and the Altises, right?
Sure.
So, and I guess we can jump to day 3 now. So we finished shooting day 2, and I think we had like a 3-hour drive to get to day 3, but we finished sooner because things were a little bit more together. We didn't have as far to walk,
Shorter hills.
Shorter hills. We only had to come down at once,
Downhill.
Yeah. So so we stayed in a downtown downtown hotel, like in a city, I would call it. Matt woke up to this. I was on the other side of the building, so I didn't hear anything. But but Clay and Austin and Matt all were on the sort of business side of the building.
The street side. So apparently in Norway, it's a tradition that when their high school graduates graduate, I don't know if they all do this or who's buying these, but they get these RVs and they completely bus, and they gut them and they just turn it into a party bus and they just drive around Norway partying. And it must have been rave night right outside of our hotel because it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. They're and I'm talking about they are getting it. They are rocking out there. I can feel the speakers in my room.
We're talking like New Orleans and Mardi Gras loud?
Yeah, yes, that loud. Out of this bus. And they're hollering and screaming. And then these guys come by in these rice burners acting like slow and curious. Not and you can hear they go right beside them. I guess they were I don't know what they were, but man, they were getting it. They were having a good time, whatever. I don't know where they were going or where they've been, but they were sure headed there.
And they were there for like an hour, 2 hours?
Yeah, a long time. I don't know how long they were there, but it was long enough that I was starting to get I was like, yeah, hey, let's get up, It's time to get up. I'm fixing to put my clothes on, go get on this bus.
Well, so in the U.S., that probably wouldn't be as big a deal because we have air conditioning in every hotel room everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And you get there and you have the wall unit, you just turn it on, the fan blows all night and it's cold, whatever. They don't have that in Norway. They have windows that open this way or they tip out. And every one of them did. So if it was 75 or 80 degrees in your room when you got there, which the days were really nice, the weather was really warm and comfortable. But if it's that warm, you're going to open a window. And they don't no screens and no bugs. Like, so it's really pleasant. But
wait, what? No mosquitoes?
No. I
don't
know how. There's water everywhere.
What is this paradise?
Right. Yeah.
You're thinking paradise. Remember, there's no air conditioning in the room. So I'm laying there going, just breathing hot air. That was it. No fan, nothing. You're just there.
Yeah. And the windows tip forward in. You're just kind of hoping something gets in. But
yeah.
So
and the only thing coming in was that bus.
I've seen Clay angry a few times about different things, but like that morning at breakfast, and that was the crawdad and shrimp and succotash or whatever we had. He was pissed. I want a refund. Like, what can you do? I mean, somebody basically just drove by, and it's a tradition in Norway. Like it is what it is. But yeah, he was bent out of shape.
Not Clay.
Yeah. So then we had what, maybe a half-hour drive to day 3 to where this was.
Yeah, it wasn't far.
No, it wasn't far at all. And this was a dedicated gun range. It was like a gun club, I would say. Now day 1 was 400 to 1,000 meters, probably somewhere in there, 1,100 meters. I don't know what that is in yards. Don't ask me. I embraced the system while I was there. In fact, my Kestrel still is in meters. I haven't shot since then. So 400 to 1,100 Friday. Yeah, Friday. Saturday was, I would say like 300 to 700, probably something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Sunday on this dedicated range was probably, I bet the closest one we had was 140 meters.
Yeah.
And the furthest one maybe was 400. So the course of fire for day 3 was much different. Like, either had a lot of movement and multiple targets, or Like our second stage we shot was out of this, it was out of like almost like a deer blind, an elevated deer blind we'd have in Wisconsin. But there was 6 targets out there, and the course of fire was like shoot target 1, shoot target 3, 2, 4, 3, 5, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and it was a pan that went across the entire field. So it's 12 rounds. You're only allowed a 10-round magazine because of country laws. So you're doing a mag change, or you're spoon feeding 2 in, and I want to say it was a 90-second stage. Maybe it's 2 minutes. That was 2 minutes. I mean, it was not enough time, but it was one of those stages. It was actually, in retrospect, it was awesome, where you're out of this deer blind and you're like pow, 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 and you're just doing holdovers, but it's so close, especially shooting 6 Creed. Like, well, Matt was at 975 meters per second, but for American people, that factory ammo was at 3180.
Yeah, boy.
I like it. Get some.
So when you're holding over on targets between 200 and 400, like, you're never leaving the plate holding over.
Somebody call it God's caliber.
Yeah, they made up for the distances being so close. Like he's talking about his second stage, which would have been stage 3.
Oh yeah,
because I started on my first stage of that day was a 16 round stage, 16 tank traps, baby, 16 of them bad boys.
Let's go.
And
you can't move fast enough.
No, you cannot move fast enough. I don't know if anybody made it to 16, but there wasn't very many of us that did. And I did not. I say us. I did not. There was a lot of moving going on. There was one guy there, we won't mention any names. He core sampled his barrel right into the mud.
Oh no.
Yes,
between
sir.
tank traps, kind of lost his footing, and like he just went straight down, right in the like peat bog. I don't know.
He was planting the flagpole at Iwo Jima, baby. He stuck that some gun. He planted it.
I've got to ask if Sindri was ROing that stage just because he did the videos. Did afterwards they reenact it and just he jumps on him or something?
Yeah. I watched. I was the last one in our squad to shoot that stage, and I got to watch Clay and Austin both shoot it. And Austin went. I think Austin got 14 impacts, and he had already kind of won the match by that point. That was our last stage, and he moved like so methodical. It didn't look fast, and he got 14 impacts. It was just pow, move to the next one, pow, and it was a generous sized target. Like I want to say it was 30 centimeters by 30 centimeters at 300 meters. It was almost 1 mil, right? Maybe 20 by 20 at 300 or something. With a good landmark.
Just double check
that. Yeah. And, I mean, it was pretty good size. You just had to set your rifle down on the tank trap and find a target immediately and engage.
That was it.
But so the first day was big country. It was like middle of the day Saturday when you're shooting at the Hornady PRC where the winds whip like crazy. Or maybe Colorado if you got a bunch of wind there. Like it was really big country shooting into a mountainside. Saturday I thought was similar course of fire to like I would say Punisher positional or similar landscape to what we had in Wisconsin for the barrel maker and similar course of fire. Like it was really familiar. Like it felt like a US Pro Series match. And then Sunday felt like K&M. It felt like you're not leaving plate. Like you just had to be perfect in your positions and your trigger presses and but the whole match it felt really familiar like a US Pro Series match should be, but it was 3 days and beautiful country and just it was an amazing experience.
So with all 3 of those being so different, would you do something like that at a finale?
like 3 days worth.
Yeah.
I
How
mean,
bad do you want to do it at a finale?
yeah.
Let's say you have 2 helpers for logistics.
Yeah, right. I think I don't think a finale is the time and place to do that, right? Because I think a
Okay.
finale of any time, it needs to be really straightforward and it needs to have predictable expectations, right? By the
Okay.
shooters. I think yeah, I
What
would
about a fun alley? Like
yeah,
fun
yeah.
replacing
Ooh,
spin.
I could qualify for
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and that's what it was. Like, I think if you have the means as an American shooter, like you need to go experience this. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, part of it was being in Norway, which was awesome.
Okay.
A 4 hour drive from day 1 to 2 and a 3 hour 2 to 3 and like, and just seeing that, like seeing the country, and experiencing that, like, could we do this in Oklahoma? Probably. We could probably develop this similar type of match and, go from Western Oklahoma to Eastern Oklahoma or whatever. But now you're
Yep.
driving 4 hours across Oklahoma. I mean, most of us
Nobody
can
wants
picture
to do
what
that.
that's like. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I'm not saying that. I have a lot of friends in Oklahoma.
I'll say that.
But yeah, but Norway's a little different, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I'll say the driving there was slow, but it was unique. Like, I mean, you
What
describe
about
it.
the amount of tunnels?
Tons.
Dude, their tunnel engineers are
Yeah.
they reign supreme because there's a tunnel every mile. And that one tunnel, fun fact, I don't know if anybody else knew this. I didn't know this. They have the deepest tunnel in the world, right, Ken?
Yeah, under the deepest underwater tunnel.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
we
Oh,
were
yeah. I'm talking about ears popping type tunnel.
Oh,
we were
nice.
we were a
Okay.
Yeah.
1,000 feet below the ocean, like between two
Whoa.
cities. It was
Yeah.
Game
cool,
on.
and it
And
was
then we still got questions about this. So they got these escape hatches, right? Where
yes
they going?
every
Where
every
where does the escape hatch go? I just
It's
envision,
just there for show.
there's gonna be this pod. You get in, you pull it, and you come shooting out of the water.
yeah.
Imagine the water's the one doing the shooting in that situation.
Probably. Yeah, there was even in that tunnel, every 500 meters, 1,000 meters, kilometer, or whatever, there was like a safe room that
Yeah.
I think had a telephone, had fresh air, and something, in case there was an accident or something. But yeah, I mean, the countryside there was crazy. There was a tunnel, like Matt said, everywhere. These guys in the U.S., we would just blow up the mountain and move it out of the way. In
Yeah, of
Norway, they're
course.
like, yeah, we're just going to drill a big hole through it, And then some of these through the mountain, you'd be on I mean, it's a highway, but there'd be an exit ramp or like an exit tunnel. Like, so, like, you just drive along, and all of a sudden the tunnel opens up a little more, and then part of it goes off.
Yeah,
Like,
Huh.
it was crazy. It was cool.
it was cool.
Yeah.
Matt, during your many slumbers, did you ever dream that you were kind of a Viking raiding your way across the land or
Yeah,
anything?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Man,
what was the best part?
the best part.
Yeah.
The best part of it to me. I mean, don't get me wrong. When I say this, all of it was awesome. I
Right.
enjoyed the entire trip with Ken, just in general. I think the best part of it to me was just being able to hang out with friends in the evening times or whatever. When we would go eat at like the hotel on day 2, we all were there, and just people from Norway, people from Sweden, and people from there was like 18 different countries there, right, Ken? Isn't that what it was?
20 countries represented at this
Yeah.
match.
And so you're just sitting there having a beer with all these people, and it's just cool to me that that we're all so like minded that it's just you become friends with these people, that you hardly ever get to see. You know, you talk to them, and then there they are. You know, then you just meet people like Ryan Charlton, Tom Rice. You know, all these guys that you know, you just make, you know, becomes friends with these people, and then you get to hang out with them. You know, you get to do what we all like to do. You know, we all get to shoot, but let's be honest. You know, the shooting part of it is second nature. You know, it doesn't matter to me if all these friends of mine were, I'm not going to say tap dancing, but if y'all did something different, I'd probably try that too. You know, because that's what my friends are doing. So that's what it's all about to me. Those dinners that we had after day 2, we ate at the same place as day 3, and that particular restaurant. I mean, I don't know how many of us were in there. Probably, I don't know, at one time, probably 30 different shooters in this restaurant at the hotel we were staying in, and the food was phenomenal. It was just, the atmosphere was awesome, and their beer was really good too.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was.
It was. And they came in big glass, and King bought me like 7 of them.
It's a tax write-off.
Oh man. Yeah. Yeah. No, I'll mirror that. I mean, like, just I had an awesome time. I mean, just hanging out with Matt all weekend. I mean, being able to share a RAV4 together, and about 1,000 miles of driving, like, it was a riot. Like, you know, we only get to see each other a couple times a year and talk to each other on the phone a couple times a year. So, you know, getting to spend a lot of time with him, and then, like, just like Matt said, like, we met a bunch of new friends. You know, we had, like, I met 3 or 4 guys from Lithuania that were just awesome people to hang out with, just like you meet anywhere in any state here in the United States. Guys from Iceland were fantastic.
And you know, the guys that we had met some people previously from when we went to France, and I remember them. They remember me, like Robert Turbins, he was there, and Mateus that shot with Ken. He shot in our squad with us. Awesome shooter, just an awesome guy. They all, I'll tell you what is funny.
Denmark
is all these, Runar, they all have different languages, and you'll have 2 guys talking to each other in their language, and these 2 guys are talking, and then these 2 guys are talking, and they're all speaking Spanish to me, and I don't know what none.
Wait, you don't know your Spanish?
Yeah, not over there. I didn't. Oh man, their language. Oh, some of that's just tough.
That was pretty funny. So as an American, like, traveling to Norway is easy. Everybody, as soon as you walked into a restaurant or a place that you needed service, you'd be hello, and man, they spoke perfect English, no accent. It was awesome.
Yeah.
But like, on the, you know, with your squad mates, you know, and they could be talking Norwegian or Swedish or Yiddish. I don't know, you know, but to break the, you know, like, somebody come off the line, they'd be speaking in a different language with each other, and I'd be like, all right, guys, I'm right. Don't talk shit about me right here. Like, you just plain English. You give it to me straight, you know. And they kind of laugh, whatever, and then everybody would talk English. And like, oh, I can help with you guys, you know, like, we can talk. This is good, you know.
That is
Sounds
awesome.
like every international match I've heard, where you go for the people. The matches they're always fun, but you go for people and getting new friends and just having that.
Well, that's the same thing for the U.S. matches for me. I don't go to just shoot. I go to see my friends, you know.
Yeah. I think more and more that's where I'm at. Like, you shoot so many stages, it's never not fun. It's always a good time. But the best times are what you do outside of the match with your friends.
Oh, no doubt. Even at the match, if you add up the amount of time of 20 stages at 1.5 minutes a stage, you're not on the gun that long, but you're there for 8 hours. You know, you're on the gun, what, 30 minutes? That's literally it. You got 7.5 hours to, you know, talk to your friends or whatever, you know. So, I mean, this past weekend I shot K&M, and it's been a long time since I've seen a lot of these people, and it was damn good to see them, and so I mean that's everything to me. I'm not near the caliber shooter as playing Austin and them. It's not like I'm in contention to win it or whatever. I'm a decent shooter, but I'm not nothing of their caliber. So I just go to have fun.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you, I smile every time I see you at a match I'm at. I know that's
That's
going
what
to
I'm
be a good
talking about.
time.
I know I'm doing my job.
Exactly. Exactly. That was the best part, honestly.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, guys. So we're about at, well, supposed to say we're about at the midpoint of the show. We've talked our full hour already, and I don't want to keep these guys too much longer. But remember, if you're watching live on Facebook, ask any questions you may have in the comment section of the video. We'll ask it live on air. Other ways to catch us, you can always check back on the Shooter's Mindset Facebook page. The videos stay up there forever. We usually upload to all the podcast apps the night after the show. And then finally, everything eventually ends up on the Shooter's Mindset YouTube page. So that's a great place to look up past episodes. We had a lot more questions we were going to go through tonight, but this story of this match just kind of was awesome, and
It was pretty epic.
I've literally just kind of been sitting here like, wow, I wanted to the whole time. I don't think I've even talked. But real quick, I don't want to go into this too much, but let's talk real quick about some other opportunities for international matches, because I'm sure that there's a lot of people that are sitting here and they're like, man, I'm going to hit the I want to hit this match again next year, or I want to do something like this. So obviously the Viking Trail is going to happen again next year, and people could sign up for that. And we've heard all about that. What other awesome, because you've done a lot to kind of help grow the PRS internationally. What are some of the higher level matches that people can go and get a cool vacation / match in coming up?
Yep. So we actually added the page to the Precision Rifle Series website. If you go to our series, there's Pro Series, Regional Series, Rimfire Series, European Pro Series, and then International Series.
I like it.
So the European Pro Series, and this is a work in process, but we started this. The first match was in February in Spain. And we have actually I probably got that wrong. Is that France? I'm sorry, the first match was in France in February. But the European Pro Series is going to go from February of 24 to June of 25. Leupold is a presenting sponsor for the European Pro Series, and not all the matches are filled out yet. Obviously, like December, we're going to take off, but basically it's one match a month, and we're going to basically crown the King of Europe. Out of this, we have. I suspect by the time we get to the championship, we'll probably have 100 shooters that have earned points throughout the series. And then we'll take probably the top 10, 15, 20 from Europe, and they'll all get invites to come to the US Pro Series finale. So that's why we're trying to end that in June, so that we can get them invites and they can get their forms filled out with the ATF and all that, and be able to come over. So we're still filling that calendar out right now. I think June and July are on there. August we're trying to squeeze one in. Not sure if it's going to be Sweden or where it's going to be. But yeah, if you want to shoot a Pro Series match in Europe, which, and I said this at the finale, we should be talking about it more and get that information out there. But shooting a European Pro Series match, you can take one of those, one of your scores from Europe, and count it in the US. So for me, that was I think I had a pretty good. Well, no, Austin Orgain still. I think I still got 80 points. I mean, I finished pretty high in placement, but Austin just outshot everybody. But yeah, the 80 points I could use as one of my scores for the US Pro Series. So. That's a little bit of incentive to get. It's a little bit of an incentive to get people to start traveling back and forth. And anybody that has a European Pro Series membership, so any of those shooters over there are welcome to come to the US and take a match and use one of their US matches as a points grab too. So
That's fantastic. Making it easy like that, just to where, like, if you want to do the once in a lifetime trip,
Right.
just go over and have fun.
Well, and still have a count, right? That was
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, this came from a lot of conversations with Ted Hager. He and I talked about this quite a bit, and it's like, you know, we're all limited, or most of us. Like, you know, there's guys like Doug Koenig or Keith Baker or whatever that you see him at every match, and you're like, yeah, man, you just everywhere all the time. That's fine. But like, you know, we're limited either by the time away from the family, time away from the job, or it's flat out money, right? So to try to be competitive in the US Pro Series and be able to shoot something overseas, like the two are, you know, not always in conjunction. So having the opportunity to go overseas and sort of spread the sport and you know, grow relationships over there and help those guys out just by traveling over there, like you can still earn points, right? Because we're, like I
Yeah.
said, we're limited in how much time and availability we have to be able to do that. So I didn't want to take that away from people if they're going to travel.
And the reverse is true too. You know, with people traveling here for work or SHOT Show after match
Yeah,
or whatever it is. I mean,
yeah,
we had probably 20 international people in our January match because of SHOT.
yeah. Well, and honestly, that's probably the best thing about having the weekend that you do. Like it's the first match of the full season or whatever, but it being right adjacent to SHOT Show, like that's an awesome opportunity for international shooters that are, you know, there for work. Like,
Yeah.
you
I'll
know,
tell
you
you
come all the way to
personally, it
Las
gets me at a
Vegas.
SHOT Show.
Yeah, you know, that too. Yeah. That I mean that is a benefit. Yeah.
Point there.
Yeah, exactly. You know.
I
What
do.
is Matt doing outside the truck? That's what I want to know. I think
I
we
was.
know what's happening.
Oh, anyway,
Not even the first time.
Ted
Is
asked a
that
question,
Oklahoma underneath you?
and he wants to know: as Americans, can we shoot 2 Europe matches and 1 US match and compete in the Europe finale?
Yeah, technically, if you bought a European Pro Series membership, it doesn't matter where you're from, you know. If you have a membership there and you're shooting in that series.
I
No
don't think that's
different
a
if I
problem if
wanted
you're
to.
traveling that much.
Well, it's no different if I wanted to, you know, if I want to shoot all my rimfire matches in Texas, like I could come down and stay with Corey and shoot a
You
match a month.
could. I'd make you breakfast. And it'd
And
be
you could
normal, Matt Partain. It would be a normal breakfast. Bacon,
exactly
ham, sausage, muffins.
protein. Let's do it.
That's right.
Yep.
Not fish and a liquid?
Mm.
Yeah,
We could do fish. I got some
Mm.
red fish if you want. I'm gonna fry them.
I'll take it. I'll take that.
Matt, would
Yeah.
you
I
do the
just don't know what.
bobcat if I made you some of that?
Who do what?
Would you do the bobcat if I made you some of that? Just put some General Tso sauce on it.
I try that. I try it. I try it. Ugh. That's
Yeah.
just different, man.
Any other questions there, Greg, as far as international goes? Or Corey?
I believe that's all we have on live. I think we asked everything about international we had in our notes.
Yeah, I think we're
Oh,
solid
here's the
on
last one.
questions.
What would be, and I'll let both of y'all answer that. What would be your words of wisdom for shooters interested in trying out an international match?
Well, reach out to Ted Hager, number one. Like he organizes everything. He did
Or
make it
Angela
really easy
Zane.
on us. What's that?
Angela Zane did it for us when we went to France. She was
That's true.
definitely the mom.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, she did everything.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that is good advice. Just have one person sort of organize it. But I do think it takes some homework, right? Like you have to reach out to the match director and figure out what each country is going to need, and then trying to figure out where, where the best places to fly into.
Mm-hmm.
But that's Norway was really easy.
Very easy.
We're gonna attempt to put something together in Iceland. It might be part of the early 2025 European Pro Series. But Iceland, I'll say, is a very easy place for most people in the US and Europe to get to. It's 2/3 of the way to Europe. It's not halfway, but it's a little past, but very easy place to fly to. You know, and I can tell you, everybody I met from Iceland was just like every dude that I've shot with here in the US. Like we're all cut from the same cloth, you know. But
Yeah. Well, cool. I think that
yeah.
wraps up what we have for today. I don't see any more big live ones coming through. So we'll go ahead and wind this one down to shout outs. We'll let Corey go first.
I wasn't ready. Okay. I'll shout out Matt Partain for herding cows and Ken Wheeler
Yeah.
and for coming down to our match and getting rained on when you did. How about that?
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome.
Partain, what do you got?
Oh, I got to shout out Runar. Runar and his team for the Viking Trail, being that this is what this is based on, man. There was a lot of work that went in. When you saw some of those targets where they were hung, I don't know how they got up there. I'm not talking a steep grade. I'm talking on the side of a mountain, there'd be a target. I ain't got a clue how they got up there, but somehow. But yeah, man, his whole team, I couldn't imagine the organization that had to take place, because we all shoot in places where are pretty much dedicated range. You know what I mean? And there's only one other match that I've ever shot where the targets came down every time after the match, and that was the barrel maker. And I just could not imagine having to set up 3 different ranges. And like I said, 4 hours apart, 3 different ranges, clearing everything to be able to see the targets. It was unbelievable, just the sheer amount of work that went into it. So, man, him and his team, unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
So, man, I got to give him a ton of credit. They did a phenomenal job. And Ken, I don't remember one target going down.
Day three, there was a couple, but it maybe slowed us down 20, 30 minutes because they weren't that far away. But yeah, day 1 and 2 were.
Yeah, I never even knew it. I don't remember us stopping at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Runar for sure.
Yeah, that it didn't really hit me until you said it about how much of a pain logistics must have been for this match.
Yeah.
You know, for the match directors, right? I mean, it was
right.
Yeah.
It wasn't a bad. You're checking out of your hotel room every morning. That was probably the worst part for us. Like, hey, pack everything in the car. Like, it all has to come with you. You know, so you couldn't leave your clothes in a hotel and just take your rifle.
You know, I've helped out at working on matches that have been on 2 ranges that were a 10-minute drive apart, or 5 or 6 ranges that were a 30-minute drive from one end to the other through little back roads.
Yeah, we're talking 3 different
match drive between days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
crazy. Like
3 different match books.
The previous stage.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's crazy.
Okay, what do you got for shout outs?
I'll follow that with So Runar Thorin, Runar's wife, did a phenomenal job hosting us and making sure that we felt welcomed, and then put on an amazing event. And Sindra helped put it on. Yeah, they were fantastic. They did it. Again, hats off to them. I'll say Valentina Lanat.
Valentina. I was just thinking the same thing.
Yeah. So she works for Norma in that group. And she was able to coordinate getting us all ammo. She actually made sure that we all had the same lot of ammo. So Ted, Matt, and myself all had the same lot, and we could share it, and it didn't matter. It was awesome. It really made things easy on us. And Ted Hager, today's his birthday. He's getting a shout out. He organized the hell out of this, and it was awesome. Yeah. And I saw Andy Cars is watching. He's my local rimfire match director. And I want to give him a shout out. So thank you for watching, and can't wait to shoot more rimfire stuff with you.
Nice.
Very good.
For me, I wanted to thank the two of y'all for coming on and spending your Tuesday evening after a long holiday weekend with us, chatting and letting everyone hear about this journey. If you're watching this, and you're like, man, this sounds awesome. You want to see some of these pictures? Ken, where's there a bunch of pictures at? Is it you shared a lot of them to the PRS Facebook, right?
Yep, the PRS Facebook. We did a photo dump from all 3 days. So if you go to the page and type Norway or Viking Trail, if you search Viking Trail on the PRS Facebook page, we did 10 pictures each day, and then we put them on Instagram as well, so you can scroll through them. Yeah.
Awesome.
And I think I've still got the videos that I took from the drives, man.
Yeah.
Those videos were unreal, and it didn't really do it justice. They were pretty awesome.
Yeah, find Matt, friend him, look at his reels and posts and stuff from the drive. It was cool, and the food we ate.
Yeah, I know. I'm watching a lot of those, and that's how this kind of came about. Is watching the two of you guys start posting this, posting that. I'm like, man, we got to talk about this.
Yeah, heck yeah.
All right.
Heck yeah.
It was definitely an experience, and I can't wait to do the next one. I think, Ken, did you see where Ryan was talking about making a trip from England?
No, where are we going?
I guess back to Norway, what he was talking about.
I'm good with it. Let's do it.
Yeah, a road trip from England. I've never been to England.
Oh, flying to England.
That sounds like a class.
Yeah,
I
Josh.
like tea, so there's that.
Josh Martin lived in his van for like a day and a half driving to and from.
Ooh.
Wow.
That sounds awful. You just fly right
I'm
into
down the
Norway.
bottom of the hill. He's just down there cooking sausages right there in the middle of the road.
Because he had a camp
Just
stove
random
and
mistake.
sausage. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
All right, guys. Well, we'll go ahead and call this a wrap for episode 403, and we will catch everybody next time.